you have clearance from the tower there to share some breaking news with our audience. What is it?
Yeah, if your audience doesn't know yet, they need to go read the latest on the Blaze from yours truly about the pipe bomb revelation. This was the Democratic National Committee pipe bomb on January 6th. There were 2 pipe bombs found. The first one was found just a few minutes before that initial famous Ray Epps breach that happened at about 12:53 p.m. Just moments before that, a passerby found a pipe bomb at the Republican National Committee at the RNC headquarters. And then just 5 or 10, maybe 15 minutes after that breach, there was another passerby who found another pipe bomb at the DNC, the Democratic National Committee headquarters. Now, for 3 years, 3 solid years, Steve, the FBI, the ATF, the Metropolitan Police, and the United States Capitol Police have all kept from us this information about who it was that found that bomb at the DNC. Turns out that the person who found that bomb was actually an undercover, plainclothes Capitol Police officer who they have portrayed for 3 years in all of these testimonies. You think about all the times they've been questioned in Senate and House hearings. Christopher Wray, what's going on with the bomb? This, that, and the other thing. They have always portrayed this person as a passerby. They've never released until we did yesterday that this was an actual undercover Capitol Police officer. But then the story, and this is what I got permission from the control room here to release on the Steve Deace show today, is that we now know also that the brand new, newly appointed assistant chief at the Capitol Police, who is in charge of intelligence and dignitary protection details, was at the time of January 6th pipe bomb findings, was the ground team supervisor of the ATF on that day. This is a huge, another piece of this connective tissues that we're finding here. The coincidences, you can't make them up, Steve. Darren Beatty from Revolver News just released this morning an exhaustive analysis of that video that we revealed yesterday through the Blaze of that few moments of where this pipe bomb was found and where this Capitol Police officer comes over to the Secret Service car. He announces that he's suddenly discovered this bomb. He goes around to the other side of the car. He goes over to a Metro Police car. By the time he finishes telling all the parties involved, sitting outside in the driveway outside of the DNC, the Secret Service and the Metro PD cop decide that they've got enough time to finish their sandwich before they get out and investigate what this Capitol Police officer has suddenly revealed to them. And just, oh, by the way, the new Vice President-elect Kamala Harris is in the building. Oh, and the car that they were sitting in when they were told about the bomb was only 15 feet from where the bomb was, and they showed no hurry, no panic, no. It seemed to be of minimal concern to them when this message was delivered to them by this undercover officer.
Which leaves you with only, as far as I can tell, Steve, 2 conclusions. One, the vice president needs better security and maybe a food taster. That clearly her security detail, her safety is not of their preeminent priority. If in the middle of an insurrection, the best piece of evidence for this not just being a riot, but an insurrection, the best piece of evidence for that would be planted pipe bombs, for example, okay, by somebody who was seeking to have a V for Vendetta moment, basically. All right, so that would be the best evidence for it. So not only did they not have a high priority, it seemed, on investigating for us the origins of these pipe bombs and who dropped them off and who's responsible for them and how they got there and who found them. That's always been kind of weird to me, because that's the best piece of evidence for their entire narrative, is following that chain of evidence, right? And so they not only did not seem all that interested in following that chain of evidence, but they also didn't seem very interested in securing the vice president of the United States in the face of the most overt act of this, if it were an insurrection, which is really an act of coordinated domestic terrorism, is what you just described. Okay, so that's one option, that her security detail does not have her safety in as a preeminent priority. Then there's the other option, which they're trying to indict you for. Basically, the other option is they know exactly where it came from, and it's what a coincidence that it just so happened to be one of the highest level members of law enforcement there just happened to find these. And why wouldn't they want to tell us this, Steve, and give this guy an award for foiling a plot, against an insurrection? Make him a national cause celeb. Run him for Congress, maybe. Why? I mean, this would seem to be a heroic act, a Medal of Honor, Medal of Freedom. Why carry put your lamp under a bushel here, Steve? Shine it. You're a hero.
Well, actually, and this is a very interesting point. I just made this connection in my own mind this morning. Of the 4 agencies that were involved in this discovery, first of all, we had the Secret Service on site. We had the Metropolitan Police Department on site. We had of course, the ATF had to respond. The FBI have been lying to us for 4 years about the identity of this Capitol Police officer. There's actually 5 agencies. Of these 5 agencies involved in this pipe bomb discovery investigation, there's only one of those agencies that is not subject to Freedom of Information Act requests, and that would be the United States Capitol Police. Interesting that he discovered that. This morning, I received a personal message from
that's very lucky, Steve. That's about as lucky as being an Antifa member from Salt Lake City, Utah, traveling thousands of miles to Washington, D.C., and you just happened to be there with your camera to capture the shooting, the murder of Ashley Babbitt, making your way from Salt Lake to D.C. through a sea, tens of thousands of people, and you just so happen to be there to capture the money shot of the entire event. A lot of lucky people just kind of meandering around that day, Steve. Very fortunate people.
Yeah, exactly. I received a personal message from one of my Capitol Police sources this morning, and he told me that of all of the suspicious package and bomb scare notifications that he has both had to respond to and himself personally delivered to the department, that he had never seen a more lackadaisical reaction to anything from either any of his colleagues at the Capitol Police or the complete nonchalant attitude that these officers had on the scene at the DNC. They did not even stop foot traffic from walking mere feet past that bomb. No concern whatsoever.
What's the innocent and benign explanation for that?
Well, you always default to government incompetence, right? Mm-hmm. Is that where we have to start? But look, we're so far past that one with regards to January 6th, it doesn't make any sense. And then Steve, just the breaking information I gave you about this new assistant chief at the Capitol Police, the other connective tissue is not only is he head of intelligence, not only was he there overseeing the ATF's response to these pipe bombs on the day, but he is also now the head of the Capitol Police Dignitary Protection Detail, which folds right back into our initial story about Nancy Pelosi's head of security, who perjured himself in the Oath Keepers trial. This new guy is now this officer, David Lazarus's boss.
So they gave him a promotion. Huh. Then why didn't they promote him as a hero? Why are we just now hearing about him foiling the great evidence of this domestic terror plot and insurrection? Why are we just now hearing about it?
It's not not to be confused with the guy who discovered the bomb, the Capitol officer, but the guy who came over from ATF to now be assistant chief at Capitol Police over intelligence and dignitary protection.
Final thing here. I mean, you have been all along And that's why we respect you. You've been very cautious about this. You're not eager to jump to affirm one narrative or the other. There have been times you've actually pushed back on some of people on our own side and said, "Nah, there's some bad actors here and some people that probably deserve to be punished." Okay, but you're just following the truth here. So this latest piece of evidence, what does it tell you? I got about 2 minutes.
Yeah, this is confirming what so many of us have been suspicious of all along, and what we have been building the evidence of is, I believe that leadership in the Capitol Police, leadership, I'm not talking about the frontline officers. I saw the fear in their face. I saw, and of course I've interviewed dozens of them who believe that they were set up that day by their own leadership. And now we are beginning to discover the evidence of just how corrupt and how involved the Capitol Police leadership were in what took place that day and what was allowed to transpire. I'm not saying they planned it, but I am on the they allowed it to happen camp.
It seems like at the very least now, some people went there with bad intentions. And anticipating that some people were going there with bad intentions, the powers that be, anticipating that was going to happen, thought, never let a good crisis go to waste. That seems to be at least what happened here now.
At the very least. And that's exactly where my investigations continue to take me, is to that very conclusion, is that it doesn't matter whether all of these disparate groups were organized and were communicating with each other, the Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys, the Three Percenters, this, that, and the other militia. It doesn't matter. Whatever these individual groups' motivations were, at the end of the day, once they were there with the intel that the Capitol Police had and did not pass along, they allowed this thing to form and take shape as it became the event that we all know of as the worst day in American history, where we almost lost our democracy.
Steve, great stuff. You're doing great work, man. Keep it up. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.